Welcome back. If you just joined us watching the news at 10, broadcasting from Lagos. Here are the stories making our headlines this hour. Nigerian army deploys troops to Nasarawa State, refutes killing of 16 soldiers by Boko Haram in Borno. NLC and TUC protested National Assembly, rejects proposal to remove workers' wages from the exclusive list. President Goodluck Jonathan restates resolve to upgrade Nigeria's health sector. And many are feared dead as a passenger train collides with a bus in Ottawa, Canada. A quick reminder here that all our top stories and other programs are on our website. It's channelstv.com and on youtube.com/channelsweb. To get us on the move, then visit m.channelstv.com to view us live on an iPad, an iPhone or a BlackBerry. You can also download the Channels TV app for Android and Nokia 920 from their respective stores. We're on to the lawmakers now. Reactions have been trailing Tuesday's fracas in the House of Representatives. The federal lawmakers had disagreed sharply over the visits of officials of the splinter group of the ruling People's Democratic Party. The disagreement led to a rowdy session and later a free-for-all among the lawmakers. Our correspondent, Larry Lasisi, spoke to some of the actors in the spectacle and has this report.
It's a day after. While emotions may have cooled down, these scenes from the House of Representatives are still fresh in the minds of Nigerians. First, a rowdy session in the chamber. Some legislators explained what led to these scenes and how they believe it will affect relations in the chamber.
Why members reacted was that if anybody wants to see PDP members of the House of Reps, a caucus meeting should be called. But not that the person will come to the hallowed chambers to say he wants to address. We are opposed to that. We have only one PDP.
But we, as members of the PDP in the House of Reps, we have met with ourselves, both those that are in the other faction, the new PDP and the old PDP. We are friends. So we've met at this level and we have decided that no matter what happens within PDP, it should not transcend into the chamber of the National Assembly.
You understand, one way or the other, every member of the National Assembly came in through one party or the other. So there's absolutely no way the party politics and what plays around outside will not come into the House. We all have our parties, and now a particular party has been factionalized. So you don't expect that everything will just be the way it is.
The emotions eventually boiled over later, resulting in more scenes of conflict and anger.
And I think, I believe I have the right to express my views because we are not expecting people from everywhere. We are expecting party leaders to come and address National Assembly members of the PDP caucus, mind you. So seeing, all that kind of crowd, that was the observation I wanted to make. And they started pulling me that I shouldn't talk. Why?
The speaker did not do well. The speaker goofed. The speaker would have brought the message to the caucus. He would have called the PDP caucus meeting and tell us that some governors of PDP stock wants to come and address us. Not Balaje. Balaje, nobody knows him. We don't know him. We don't recognize him as a leader. But the speaker made the mistake right from the morning.
National Assemblies, the House of Reps, should be insulated from the crisis happening in the party. Other parties have had their crisis in the past, and we are able to resolve it after the National Assembly.
All these are happening despite the ongoing truce by factions of the PDP, a truce that appears not to hold sway in the National Assembly. Landry Lasese, Channels Television News.
Well, the Babanga Tukur-led faction of the People's Democratic Party has asked the Lagos High Court sitting in Ikeja to strike out a suit filed by the Abubakar Baraje faction of the party. The Tukur faction also resolved its issue over legal representation, with the senior advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Joe Kiari Gadzama, now leading the defense for Tukur, while Mr. Emeka Etiaba represents the other defendants in the matter. Mr. Baraje, Dr. Sam Jaja, Prince Olagusonyo Lola, and the PDP had brought an application pursuant to Order 39 of the Lagos High Court, asking the court to restrain the defendants from parading themselves as members of the National Executive of the People's Democratic Party. Apart from Mr. Tukur, other defendants named in the suit include the Deputy Chairman, Prince Uche Secondus, the Women Leader, Mrs. Kema Chikwe, and the Publicity Secretary, Olisa Metu. Counsel to the Tuku faction questioned the jurisdiction of the court to entertain the 3-week-old suit, saying it was a bad case which should not have been in the court in the first place. But the plaintiff's counsel, Mr. Robert Emokporero, asked the court for more time to respond to the objections raised by the defendants. Justice Adefowope Okoje granted his request and adjourned the matter to Wednesday, September 25th, to allow the plaintiffs file and serve his response to the objection. We're staying with party politics. The Nigeria Governors Forum, led by River State Governor Chibuike Amechi, has urged Finance Minister and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, to resign or manage the economy better. The forum said her non-compliance with the revenue projection of the 2013 budgets was a direct breach of the Appropriation Act. The governors also pointed out that the National Economic Council is the right body to manage the economy and not the economic management team.
We, members of the Nigerian government, the non-compliance with the revenue projections of the Federal Government of Nigeria 2013 budget is a direct breach of the provisions of the Appropriation Act 2013. Members expressed concern in the management of the economy by the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy and called for a strict adherence to the Appropriation Act 2013, failing which she should consider resignation. Forum observed that National Economic Council is constitutionally responsible for the management of the economy and should be used for that purpose as opposed to the economic management team constituted by the presidency. 2, we reiterate our earlier call to the National Assembly for the separation of the office of the Accountant General of the Federation from that of the Accountant General of the Federal Government for accountability and better management of the economy. 3, after review of the polio situation in the country, members recognize that some progress has been made in 2013 compared to 2012. Forum enjoined all governors to remain focused and continue to drive the program in their respective states until polio is completely eradicated. 4, members expressed condolence to Dame Patience Jonathan, the wife of the president, for the loss of her mother, Governor Fashola for the loss of his father, and the family of our late colleague, late Dr. Olusegun Agagu, former governor of Ondo State. Finally, it was resolved that the forum will hold a Nigerian Governors Forum retreat in November 2013.
River State's Governor Chibuike Amechi. And meanwhile, the Governor Junojang faction of the Nigeria Governors Forum has opposed a call by the Amechi faction for the resignation of the Minister of Finance. A Governor Jang faction in a statement noted that the content of the communique by the Amechi faction clearly indicates that it now sees itself as an opposition to the presidency and Nigerians. Weighing in on the matter also, the Governor of Delta State says it is wrong to ask for the sack of the Finance Minister over the issues raised by the Amechi faction, but instead, the NNPC and relevant agencies should be held accountable.
Because I have some deeper knowledge of some of these issues. That's why my position is slightly different from my colleagues. Like I told you, I was the chairman of the committee that had to deal with the challenge of oil theft. Sometimes with the sales going above $100 per day, $100 per barrel, simply means that there should be enough money for the allocation. But NNPC is telling us that they don't have enough money to put on the table to be shared. So the question is it the minister's responsibility to get this money from NNPC, or is NNPC that should tell us what is happening to the oil that are being produced and are being sold? Where is the money? I think that is where our emphasis should be. The question should be to NNPC rather than on the minister. It should be on NNPC. Let NNPC tell Nigerians what is happening to the money from production and sales. NNPC has not been able to convince us that would not have enough money to share.
When religion clashes with people's traditions, it is usually the custodians of the people's culture that gets caught in the crossfire. This was the dilemma facing the Olu of Warri, who had early decided to renounce his royal title and abolish some ancient Ishekiri cultural practices. The monarch, however, bowed to the people's wishes after days of protests when his subjects issued him an ultimatum to either back down or abdicate. Our community report takes a look at how crisis in the Warri kingdom unfolded.
Etisala, now you're talking.
The ancestral spirits of the Warri kingdom, symbolized by these masquerades, invade the traditional ruler's palace. Along with the king's subjects, they barricade the gates, effectively shutting the monarch inside. Their action is in protest against the Olu of Warri's decision to jettison age-old traditions, which happen to be the pillars on which his throne is established. The decision of His Royal Majesty Godwin Toju Emiko Ogiame Atuase II stemmed from the fact that he became a born-again Christian. Even his regnal name, Ogiame, a title that has existed for over 5 centuries, clashes with his religious beliefs because of its association with a river goddess.
Before you agree to be king, at least you know all the traditions. Now the people they rule. And if you are ruling the people, you must rule the people with their tradition. You can't rule the people with Christian way.
And so the outraged subjects are itching for a showdown with their king. For almost a week, they lay siege to the monarch's residence, demanding royal respect for their customs and traditions. Not even the intervention of the state governor, Dr. Emmanuel Uduaga, who appealed for calm in the Shekiri language, was enough to pacify the people. The people have their say and eventually their way. After being shot in his palace for several days, the king is forced to back down. The abolished Ishakiri customs and traditions are restored.
The father have heard the cry of the children, and the children need to quiet. If the father said it's okay, and for that we said for the national anthem, for the game, everything remain, and we're happy for that.
It was a very peaceful protest. We know the Shekiri nation will actually hold King in very high esteem, and he's the custodian of the law, the custodian of our culture. So if he says he's the spiritual and political head of the Shekiri nation.
What he did, he took the rest decision for going back because the people had disagreement with him. They were divided, and a house that is divided against itself cannot stand.
But there still remains the Olu of Warri's dilemma of serving the Almighty God the Christian way, and then paying homage to the deities of his ancestors. Perhaps it's a case of rendering to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, and to God what belongs to God.
Etisala, now you're talking.
When the news at 10 returns, the Nigeria Customs confiscates used tires imported into the country. Do join us again.